Finally, it feels the partnership between NXT and TNA is finally starting to be on equal footing. Kinda. It's still kind of weird, and we'll get to that. First of all, let's look at the results. The Hardys beat the Dark State, which is interesting, and that means they get the NXT titles. Yay, the Hardys become Tag Team Triple Crown champions. Perfect, that's exactly what you want. And while it's fitting, if you're a Hardys fan like myself, it's about time and TNA got something from NXT. Really right about time. Next on, we move to the women's match, which, whatever. Team TNA is mostly people that were in NXT and WWE before. So it's like Team NXT versus Team NXT 2.0. Of course, let's not forget that the TNA Knockouts champion, Kelani Jordan, is signed to the WWE. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, so this was a victory for Team NXT. Then we have Ethan Page against Mustafa Ali, which again feels like, what do you call it, a WWE versus WWE match. And you see that's the whole thing that makes this so funny to me, is that so far it's been WWE versus NXT until this match, because Mustafa Ali was known for his run in NXT, WWE, whatever, and Ethan Page is up and coming to NXT. Well, up and coming is kind of a stretch, but you get it. So yeah, it's only been WWE versus WWE matches. And finally, for a match that is proper, and I really mean proper, TNA versus NXT. Team TNA made out of Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater against NXT's Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Miles Bourne. TNA wins this one, and technically the whole event is a tie. During the match, Trick Williams deflects. He kind of betrays Team NXT, and so, because Mike Santana and Moose get the win for TNA. And now this really feels like it's proper. It's 2-on-2, it's a tie, everything's nice. The problem is that it took them so long since they started this partnership to get to this point. And it's kind of stupid that it did take them so long to be on equal footing. They had Joe Hendry squashed a few times when he was TNA champion. Then you have NXT stars and Trick Williams and Kelani Jordan just having the TNA's world titles, women's world title and normal world title, and that's kind of stupid. Overall, the way this whole alliance has been going has not been favorable for for TNA until now, and even now it's really debatable when their women's team was really former WWE stars, so that's kind of stupid as well. Again, if you look at this feels more like a WWE pay-per event, with the exception of Team TNA for the men's Survivor Series match. So yeah, not a fan of it, but it was about time that TNA got its win back in a way. Trick Williams betraying NXT is also very interesting in that point, so we'll have to see how that develops and where. Just as an interesting note, Team NXT had Ricky Saints and Trick Williams, so they had both the world titles on their team, until of course Trick betrayed them. Which might say that if they didn't do the betrayal, they might have won. That would have been very funny, but they do the betrayal, so TNA gets a win. It's kind of interesting, I guess, in the point. Even Ethan Page didn't win cleanly against Mustafa Ali, because at some point Mustafa Ali gets his foot caught in Booker T's headset, and then Ethan Page just pushes him out of from the top turnbuckle, and he just goes flying outside. And that's kind of an interesting part. They didn't make these proper clean wins for Ethan Page and Team TNA, but they did make them proper wins for the Hardys against Dark State and the women's match. So it's still a tie somehow, which is, mind-baffling if I think about it. But yeah, hopefully, the pay-per-view ends with Ava and Santino Marella talking about doing this again and whatever. And hopefully they do it again. But hopefully TNA gets a proper win next time. Because I'm telling you, just having them tied right now isn't equivalent to what NXT has taken from TNA so far. By the way, Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace were special guest referees for the two team matches, which is interesting because they like to act like Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace have like mixed loyalties between TNA and NXT and stuff like that. But TNA for the women's had Kelani Jordan. She signed to NXT, purely just NXT. Not even she moved to the other company like what the Iconics, whatever their name is, and then there's that what's her name again, Mara Said or something. Yeah, at least those went from NXT to being fired and then getting signed by TNA. But Kelani Jordan's still part of NXT, the same way Trick Williams is. So yeah, talking about mixed loyalties with Hendry and Jordan Grace is kind of interesting, but whatever. So that's it. 2-2. It's a tie. Puh. I was not a big fan of it. Again, not a fan of how things went with this one. It could have been better. Could have been way better. TNA could have won. But no. No. It couldn't. But alas, it is what it is. Fun fact, they also went head to head, I think, against AEW's Title Tuesday. Now, we know that AEW special episodes like Title Tuesday are very important watches, and you really should look at them because very interesting stuff happens. It doesn't. You would think for a thing called Title Tuesday, all the championships will be defended and there will be new champions. But that's what happens with these style of episodes from AEW too, that nothing ever happens. And to be honest, if we have to look at Title Tuesday and NXT versus TNA's Showdown Invasion, then we have to look at kind of bland wrestling. And wrestling has been kind of bland, to be honest. It seems that there's no good booker out there. Like, none at all. Like, let's be honest, it's just boring, predictable, whatever. And then you move on with your life. And it's stupid that it's predictable like that. Because you waste your life watching this 2-hour whatever show, and then, you can tell everything in it. Kinda loses the appeal of pro wrestling when that happens. But whatever. At least things are good for TNA. They got a tie. Woohoo. They finally brought the NXT titles to their brand, and it's not going to take long. I'm suspecting the Hardys will drop them very soon. Very, very soon. Because TNA can't hold NXT's titles for too long. More than likely. Nevertheless, if you reach this far, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.